We got to start playing Whitney Houston more.
Yeah.
It's got to be a part of the rotation.
That's that one there, that entrance song, at least once a day, JP.
It's a great track. Great track.
It is. Keep it going and give it a little
juice. You think she ever sang this live anywhere, or was it always?
I don't know what to
pre-recorded?
believe now. I was just thinking, like, if I was Nick Sirianni and I was crying, and then you told me that Chris Stapleton was lip syncing, I'd be like, I was duped.
Yeah, you would feel a little bit duped.
I was
right?
so emotional.
Yeah, that was like Stapleton's rendition of the anthem last year was unreal.
But now you're telling me it was fake.
Well, it's not fake. I mean, he recorded it. It's his voice, but while it was happening live before kickoff, it's on tape,
Get
man.
the emotion.
I don't know. That's why they're performers, Jonas. You got to fake it to make it sometime. Nothing wrong with that.
That's exactly right.
Got to fake it to make it. Jonas Siegel in here of The Athletic, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, and Bryan Hayes. OverDrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. We got Kirk Morrison coming up here in a moment, former NFLer, SiriusXM NFL analyst, ESPN analyst. We're getting closer to go time. It's Tuesday, and I'm jacked for Sunday. Like it's really going to be a weekend
spectacle.
It feels like a spectacle because I think the Niners win. I think the Ravens win, but
You think the Ravens, eh?
Yeah, I do. I think the Ravens are the best team all year. They're at home. They're healthy. I think they'll defend better than the Bills just did. Yet, would I be shocked if Mahomes found a way to win it? Absolutely not. And I think Jared Goff and Dan Campbell and the Lions are the coolest story going right now. That would be an incredible feat. Like the idea that they hadn't won a playoff series in over 30 years, and now they're on the verge of possibly going to a Super Bowl. Like they're 5 days away from punching a ticket to a Super Bowl.
Purdy's a big story into the weekend, man. Like he's like Mr. Game Manager. Can he like game manage his ass into the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
With like sometimes he's got to stand up, and I know he's done it, and I know he's had an exceptional year, but like, can he make a couple game changer plays where it's kind of out of his, I don't say out of his comfort zone, but not really like him? He's going to be a big storyline because he will get destroyed if he falls flat in his face.
That's
destroyed.
I agree with you. I think it will be completely unfair. But if the Niners lose, it'll be because of Brock Purdy. That'll be the reaction from a lot of people. Purdy couldn't get it done. Look at all the weapons around him. Meanwhile, if he wins, it will be in spite of him.
Look how sound their team is, Hayes. They've got everything, and it's like the Mr. Irrelevant shows up as their QB, and it's like he is the one position you're looking at where it's like, did they not think this through, thinking this was the guy that could get it done?
Well, they just went through it with Garoppolo. Like they just went through it, and that's why they traded up to get Trey Lance. Like they traded up thinking that's what we need. We need a special talent. And instead, that same draft, I believe, they took Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy. And if you can recall, I think we all do it, the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, they had an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter.
Well, don't forget, Hayes, a lot of teams could have had the guy that's playing for Baltimore at quarterback this summer. All they had to do was pick up the phone, and no one did.
Every single team. He went 32nd, I believe. Baltimore moved back into the first round to take him. Every single team in the league had a chance to take Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
And did not take him.
Who do you guys think is under the most pressure this weekend?
I think Purdy,
Lamar?
man. I think
Over
it's
Lamar?
Purdy all day long.
Ooh,
yes, I do.
That's a very good question. I think Purdy because, again, like we just said, if they win, it's in spite of him. If they lose, it's his fault, which is completely unfair.
Right.
Yet because of him being Mr. Irrelevant, because of his size, because he doesn't have an overpowering arm or overly athletic, etc. But in terms of legacy, it's Lamar. Like, I think Mahomes has established who he is. Like, Mahomes is just going to keep building and building and building and be one of, if not the greatest player ever. Jared Goff, I think, is a legend now in Detroit forever because he finally did something that no one else could. Matt Stafford couldn't do it. No one else could for over 30 years. And he did it twice. They won 2 home games.
You could include coaches. You could say Kyle Shanahan if you wanted.
I do think Shanahan, he and Purdy are in lockstep. And the thing is, like, John Harbaugh's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Harbaugh's won. Andy Reid's won. Dan Campbell's already won because of what he's done. The fact that he's made the Lions a legitimate operation as opposed to a laughingstock it felt impossible for like 30 years. So it's either Purdy or Lamar. Like those are the two, Purdy / Shanahan and Lamar. But I think big picture, if you're talking about legacy, Brock Purdy's, I don't think, going to play himself into a Mount Rushmore quarterback. But Lamar's, going to win MVP this year. That'll be his second in his career. He wins a Super Bowl, you're talking Hall of Fame at that point. You're talking like, okay, where does this guy end up in the all-time rankings? So there should be a lot of pressure on him. He's at home. Like, when you consider the conversation around Josh Allen, he's got to beat Mahomes. I understand why it's a drop-off compared to Lamar because Jackson hasn't played Kansas City in the playoffs, and Allen's now lost 3 of the last 4 years. But Lamar's right there with those guys in terms of talent, in terms of ability, in terms of hardware, in terms of winning. Like, why wouldn't it be a similar conversation? Can you beat this guy? Can Lamar Jackson do enough to beat Patrick Mahomes? I think that's going to be a big part of the conversation come Sunday. And, like, I fully expect Mahomes to show up. Like,
he does.
He'll show up.
That's the thing facing Lamar. Like, the other guy is going to have his best. It doesn't matter. Away, second week in a row. He is going to be dynamite on Sunday.
Yeah. Yes,
dynamite.
Yeah, he will. So what will Lamar Jackson do in response? And I think the Lions will show up. Like, I think they're going to play. I think they'll play hard. So, like, Brock Purdy is going to be challenged at some point, too. Jared Goff can make throws. They got weapons in Detroit.
Dude,
they have a legit offense.
I got to say, and you made fun of me for a long time. I believed in Jerry Goff all this time, and you said I was a joke.
I don't recall you being his biggest fan necessarily.
Really?
I'll grant you were a fan of Jared Goff. Jerry Goff. Listen, he brought the Rams to a Super Bowl. It was the first overall pick.
Yes. Everyone was just throwing him away like he was trash. I'm like, you tell me this guy all of a sudden can't play anymore?
It's incredible what he's done. It really is. Here's former NFLer, SiriusXM NFL Radio and ESPN analyst Kirk Morrison. How you doing, Kirk?
I'm doing good. How are we doing today, fellas?
We're doing very well. We're talking pressure going into this weekend, and specifically with the quarterbacks. Yeah. And we were discussing who has more pressure this week, Brock Purdy or Lamar Jackson. How would you answer that?
I think it's going to be Brock Purdy. I think he has the most pressure on him. When it comes to the other quarterbacks, I don't know if there's a ton of pressure on them. I look at Patrick Mahomes, who's already won 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls. Jared Goff, to me, still doesn't have any pressure on him. He's already led a team to a Super Bowl. They didn't win, but he brought them to the game. He brought 2 different franchises to conference championship games. That's definitely going on his resume. Lamar Jackson will be the NFL's MVP this year. It's going to be pressure for him, but obviously going against Mahomes, I think that we all can say, you know what, these are 2 generational quarterbacks, and it's almost like pick your poison. I mean, which one? Pick quarterback 1, pick quarterback 2. It doesn't matter. Those 2 dudes out of the AFC are just as good as any quarterback in the league. I think Brock Purdy is the one that has the most pressure because it's just not pressure on him as a quarterback and on the 49ers. I said it this way. If we're all sitting at a table, one of these guys is not like the other. Brock Purdy's the only non-first rounder of the quarterbacks this weekend. He doesn't fit. He doesn't belong. So I think he's fighting for more about the quarterbacks who aren't drafted in the first round, because I feel like we still look at him as the guy who's Mr. Irrelevant, drafted in the 7th round, where these other guys, we kind of expect them to be here, these number 1 first-round draft picks. So all the pressure's on Brock Purdy.
So what do you expect from his performance, Kirk? Like, is he supposed to just do his thing and be Brock Purdy, or does he have to step up and make those few spectacular plays when it matters, because that's just what you have to do to get to the next level? Like, what do you expect? Because it seems like he's kind of, he makes the 10-yard throws, and you don't really see that kind of spectacular out of him all the time. But does he have to have those plays to keep playing?
He's going to need more of those plays. I know we saw what he did last week in that final drive, and it's not like he threw a touchdown pass. Christian McCaffrey capped off a drive with a touchdown run. And Brock Purdy made 2 plays with his arm, 1 play with his legs, and I thought that was great. But he also did it against the 7th-seed Packers, who are also the youngest team in the National Football League. I didn't like the way the Packers finished last week's game. This will be totally different this week, going against the Detroit Lions and their defense, a little more seasoned. They got an experienced play caller as well in Aaron Glenn. If he does it against this Lions defense, if he's able to carve them up, lead touchdown drives, put more on his shoulders, I think that you're going to give him the respect that he well deserves. But it's going to be tough without having Deebo Samuel. I'd almost say if Deebo Samuel is not available, I almost say that this is Brock Purdy's game that he has to win. Because if he wins without Debo, to me, it's all because of the quarterback. If they lose without Debo, then a lot of the narratives will still start to, I guess, percolate around the league, is that without Debo Samuel, this 49ers football team is just not very good. They have a losing record when he's not in the lineup.
Yeah, and I feel that narrative still hangs around the Lions, even though they had a great second half last year. This year they win the NFC North. They run away with it. Now they've won 2 playoff games. Yet it's like, well, they're still the Lions, and now they're going on the road, and what do they have against the Niners here? Yet Dan Campbell's been, cooking up game plans, and he's got that team motivated. Jared Goff's been really good, and they got a lot of weapons on offense. Like, the spread is significant. I think it's 6.5, and the Niners are naturally expected to win. But I feel like the Lions can pull this off, Kirk. And if that happens, like, what do you think we would see out of the Lions in order for them to possibly pull that off and get a win in San Francisco?
You know what? I honestly know that there's point spreads and obviously the odds and things like that, but I look at two teams that are just very similar. I mean, they have players at every position. And if you look at offense, I think both offenses really compare to each other. They have a couple of outstanding Iowa tight ends, right? Sam Laporta on one side and obviously George Kittle for the 49ers. They have an outstanding receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown, all-pro. Brandon Ayuk, he's an all-pro. They have a guy who can run the football in Jahmyr Gibbs, who's shown his explosion. Reminds me a lot of Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey has set himself apart, by the way. But you have a left tackle in Trent Williams on the 49ers, Penei Sewell, one of the best young tackles in all of the NFL. You start to go around and you look and you say, man, there are a lot of comparable players on each of these teams. So to me, what I think that Detroit has done is they've put themselves in a situation where it's us versus everybody, right? They've had that mentality. They're still a couple years removed from going 3-13-1, fellas. Like that's still a scar that they are like, look, man, we felt that. We know what that felt like, and we don't want that to ever happen ever again. So they still have that mentality of underdogs. That's how they go out and win this game. They know that they're not going to go in and win a game against the 49ers. They have to go in and take a game from the 49ers. So being aggressive is what Dan Campbell has gotten his team here, and that way I believe he'll do the same again this weekend. It's going to be a much, much tighter game than people may expect. And I'm confident that I think the Detroit Lions can go in and go to a Super Bowl and win a game against the 49ers.
You just mentioned mindset. Like, what do you think the mindset of Lamar is right now? Unbelievable year, MVP, but he's got the boogeyman coming to town, and he never disappoints come playoff time.
Right.
And it's almost like it would be the best thing for him because Mahomes is automatic, and he's going to make plays and put points up, and it's like you just have to respond and try to be better. We've seen what's happened to Josh Allen year after year. It's just got to be the ultimate test for a quarterback going up against this guy in the playoffs.
I kind of love this conversation just because I talked about it with a couple of my buddies last week. And, I think we talked a little bit about, Michael Jordan had to go through the, Detroit Pistons, right, in the NBA to finally get a championship. You have those kind of moments in sports where, like Peyton Manning had to kind of go through Tom Brady to finally get a Super Bowl. So there is always that final level, that final match that like, okay, if I'm going to be the champion, you have to go through this team or this person. I think this is what sets up this week is Lamar Jackson has to go through the defending champions, the team that has been the 6 straight conference championships. It's only fitting for if Lamar and the Ravens to win, they have to go through the Kansas City Chiefs to prove that they're a solid football team that can put them into a Super Bowl. It's going to be tough. It really is. But it's crazy to say that we're going to focus on the quarterbacks, but it's the defenses. Whoever's defense stands tall. Kansas City's defense has been playing well. Baltimore's defense has been lights out this year. This will be the battle of the defenses this week, even though the quarterbacks will get the headlines.
With longtime NFLer Kyle Morrison, your former team, the Bills, they ran into it again. We saw it. Everyone's got a different reaction on Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, et cetera. And this idea that they got some cap issues. Like Allen's dollar amount is going through the roof, and it might lead to some players having to go or them having to bring back the same guys but restructure deals. Like if they come back with a similar structure and a similar roster, How would you feel about that decision, and how likely do you think it is that Allen and the Bills find a way to finally get that elusive Super Bowl someday?
Oh, man, it's tough. I mean, this was a team that we all thought halfway through the season or three-quarters of the way they're not going to make the playoffs, right? Let's be honest. So for them to be in the position that they were in and to be the number 2 seed in the AFC, I think the expectations grew dramatically toward the end of the year, because this was not with the Buffalo Bills team that we saw throughout the regular season for the most part. I feel like, yes, you're going to have to make some tweaks to the roster. You're going to have to make some decisions on some players. But as long as number 17 is available, Josh Allen, you feel like you've always got an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Now you need some things to go your way, but for the most part, you have the one piece that a lot of teams around the league wish that they have. There's not a lot of Josh Allens rolling around, right? We've talked about Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, there's Jared Goff, and some other teams have their franchise guy. But the Buffalo Bills go into an offseason knowing that we don't have to worry about that position. We can go find some other skilled players. We got a nice little young running back in James Cook. We got some young tight ends. We've got some pieces. We just maybe need to retool some players. I mean, retool a couple of areas. But you always have an opportunity when Josh Allen is available. And I think that he's learned from his experiences as well. He probably wishes he had that last drive back, for his football team. But these are the moments that make you tougher, and you just hope that they figure it out. My only thing is I just don't understand, and this is just my gripe, and this as a former Buffalo Bill player, and I love the Bills. I love Buffalo. I love the city, play there, I understand it, but it's just that I get the Buffalo mentality, hard-nosed, gritty, but I feel like when Josh Allen is at his best is when there's a controlled environment and the elements don't step in. And so I see, building a new stadium without a roof, without a controlled condition, I feel like it's taking away a lot of Josh Allen's superpowers. And a lot of people won't admit it, but I know you love shoveling snow and doing all that, but man, I would love to see Josh Allen have some of those conditions like Jared Goff, and we saw Baker Mayfield and, Lamar Jackson. I get it. It's part of the mentality, but man, sometimes being tough also can make things so much harder for you. But I guess you'll earn it one day, but until then, man, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, no question about that. Only 4 teams left. We'll see how it plays out. Really appreciate you doing this. Thank you, Kirk.
Anytime, fellas. Appreciate the time always.
You got it. Kirk Morrison, longtime NFLer, former Bill.
There are fans that say, don't even think about any roof around here in Buffalo. It's not what we do. And it's like, okay, you want to shovel? You want to have that nonsense? Go ahead.
That's their identity, though, right? Like I think they bask in that.
I get it, but when do you move away from that and say, maybe a roof's not a bad thing? Like, you want to be a caveman and just be like, we love shoveling.
Mm-hmm. That's it. I mean, I guess the next stadium in 40 years, 50 years, because the new one is not going to have a roof.
I think it's a mistake. You can say that's our identity.
Mm-hmm.
What if your identity is different and it presents a different result? Are you happy with the new identity, or are you going to complain and gripe that you wish you had snow to shovel?
Listen, I wonder too if they were told they would get a Super Bowl if they put a roof on, or wouldn't get a Super Bowl even if they had a roof. Because
they're doing the Super Bowl in Buffalo? I don't think so, really.
They did it in Indianapolis when they built Lucas Oil. They did it in Detroit.
Yeah, they have a roof.
When they built Ford Field. That's why they went to New York, because they built the new stadium.
What do you think the best field is in the NFL? Isn't it Lambeau? Outdoors?
In terms of their history and
how can you go and
listen? I love watching football when it's outdoors. I would prefer that every day of the week, but the logistics of it are you live in Buffalo. Like Buffalo, it's every year they have these issues with snow. And I understand, and people are going to jump on us and say it wasn't just the snow in the seats and the quarters. It's getting people in and out. The streets are loaded. That's why you have to move games around.
Yeah,
I get it. But once you're indoors, like we just saw the Lions, Detroit is no better. They were showing shots of the city of Detroit. It looked like the Arctic, but inside, everyone's in like a T-shirt and jeans and watching them play. And the games, it's like the Dome, right? Like, I don't love the Rogers Center.
I hate the Dome.
But if you buy a ticket, Jonas, that game is being played.
That's right.
It will never be rained out.
You know what sucks? Going to the Dome when it's closed.
When the dome is closed?
Terrible.
Come on.
Yeah, it's not a great
modern day
Terrible.
complaining. It's like, watch the game. I think the dome's awesome. We all just complain.
Wow.
It's
And
a
I'm a
great
complainer.
location. It's a great location. It has history. It has meaning here. That's where Joe Carter hit that home run. You can never take that away from it. And they are making upgrades, and the upgrades they're quality.
Pretty good.
They are. They've invested heavily, and I think that's really going to improve the longevity of it and the viewing experience and the fan experience. But it's the thing is, you can't hold it to the standard. Like you mentioned, Lambeau Field. You can't hold a new stadium to the standard of Lambeau. That's like saying I want Wrigley Field. You can't get it. Can't get Fenway.
Yeah, but you could build an outdoor park.
Yeah, I know, but it's not going to have the same feel as like the old
not in
great.
this lifetime.
Like yeah, I guess you're right. Like if you build it now in 80 years, maybe it does have the same vibe. Anyway. All right, thanks to Kirk. We appreciate it. Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. Confirm or deny still to come. All right?
I have
Confirm
a
or
question
deny.
for you guys, too.
You got something you want to throw our way?
Yeah.
Okay, Jonas is going to put us on the spot. We got confirm or deny coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. Jonas Siegel in here of The Athletic, and Jonas has got one burning question.
So, I thought of this a few hours ago.
Hit me.
I was thinking about Connor Hellebuyck and just like what an advantage it is to have him. Just for this season, how many players would you take ahead of him? You just get him for this season. I made a small list and he ended up at number 5.
You're talking McDavid, McKinnon.
I can have anybody, I can start my team with anybody this year, and I just get them for this year. Forget about contract, forget about any of that stuff. How many would you have ahead of Hellebuyck? Is he in your top 10? Is he in your top 5?
And you're not subtracting. It's not like you can take Hellebuyck, but you got to give it. You're just adding Hellebuyck.
Yeah. Basically, like everybody's available, and you can just pick your guy.
Okay, and your
Where does
team
he-
is average or whatever, average and net. Like, there's context that has to come with it,
Let's
right?
just
Like-
say you have no players.
Okay, you have no play.
Empty
I
roster.
would
Starting your
take
team.
ahead of Hellebuyck. I would
Okay.
take Cale Makar,
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Austin Matthews.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So I had those 4. I didn't have Draisaitl, but that's reasonable.
Yeah, Draisaitl, I think it's very reasonable. I think, Quinn Hughes is having a phenomenal year. Like, if you have Cale Makar in there, I think Quinn Hughes probably has to be too.
Okay. But that's the choice. So, like, you can have Hellebuyck for this year, or you can have Hughes.
Yeah, listen, it's a good question. I mean, I'm taking McDavid for sure.
For sure.
I'm
I think
taking,
Jeff's right about
I'm taking
those guys.
Makar. I think I'd take Matthews. Did you have Matthews on your list?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I guess at some point you got to get to a goal. Like the guy that can have the biggest impact, what's amazing about the position is he can have a bigger impact than anybody else, McDavid included. Like if he stands on his head, as great as McDavid having an unbelievable night, as a few points and dominating, but he's going to play 25 minutes tops. Hellebuyck's out there every single second of the game.
Here's a way to look at the importance of him, and by no means am I saying this guy is Dominic Hasek, but pull up some of the rosters that were in Buffalo, and it's no disrespect to the players that were there, because Mike Pekka was a very good player, and he's a very good friend of mine. But if you look at that roster, they did some damage with guys that were like, there's no star-studded $10 million. Like, that guy made that team, man. Like,
he was so good. That's
yes.
probably the greatest goaltending we've ever seen
yes.
in NHL history, and I'm not sure we'll ever see it better than that. Like late 90s, early 2000s, there was a 5 or 6 year run. You were in the league. Like it was.
Who was their best D? I'm trying to think of some of their D from back then.
Late 90s. That's a good question.
There's no like Norris Trophy winners, are there? Like Phil Housley was he on those teams?
No, Housley would have been.
It was more like Jason Woolley kind of. They had like.
Was Robin Regeer there at that point? No.
Yeah, Regeer
Yeah,
was
that's
there.
right.
It was like that era. Rory Fitzpatrick. Like they weren't Richard Schmelik.
Alex
Richard
Shitnick might have been on that
or
team.
Alex Shitnick, yeah.
Alex Shitnick, I think, was on that team. Watch
So
yourself.
it wasn't like what?
I said, watch. You got to be careful with that handle.
Shitnick.
Yes, with a Z. ZH.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
how I said it.
No, I
didn't-
know that. I was saying that about myself as much as I was about you. I'm sure we're missing a couple of guys who are like good, really good players. I'll bet you they had a good top 4.
What about this name, Richard Schmelik?
Yes, Richard Schmelik. But yeah, Hellebuyck would have to be very high on the list. But if that's the case with Hellebuyck, how far off is Demko from your top 5?
Yeah, he'd probably be in there. Top 10. I don't know.
And then what about guys who may not be having statistically their best years, but like Shesterkin and Vasilevsky?
That's your choice.
Shesterkin, Hazy. Like he hasn't been popping his head up. Like I thought that guy was going to be outrageous for years.
2 years ago, he was up for the Hart. And since then, his numbers have tailed. Mm-hmm. They have. I'm seeing the Cooperstown's announcing their induction list. It looks like Joe Mauer's going in, Adrian Beltre, and Todd Helton. Interesting. Helton's been on the ballot for a while. He didn't. I don't think he got to 3,000 hits, but he had, I think, high 2s. Like I want to say
average, though.
Yeah, he was like he was in a hitter's park. He was out in Colorado crushing for years. But I want to say he had 2,800 hits. And Beltre was just a great third baseman, like just consistent throughout his career. Mauer was amazing and then ran into some injury problems. But there you go. As of now, 3 names going in. Beltre, Mauer, and Todd Helton. On their way to Cooperstown. You guys ready for Confirm or Deny?
Let's go.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, confirm and deny. Very simple. Statements are made. We go around the table. We either confirm them or we deny them. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area. There's no indecision here. Okay, Jonas? Confirm and deny. Ilya Samsonov will start more games than Martin Jones the rest of the season.
Yeah, you can't do that to me now. You can't do that.
That's a good one. It's a very good one. Play it.
I
can either confirm or deny that.
I'm going to deny it because I just don't know what the heck I'm going to see tomorrow. I'm unsure of myself. I'm Fergie. I'm Fergieing it up. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know what I'm going to see.
Okay. Jonas?
I'm with Jeff. I deny. I just don't know.
Mm-hmm. So you're Fergie, too.
I have no idea. I know
twins.
Wall will come back, and then we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think with Joseph Wall, they probably send him on a conditioning stint, and unless it's very desperate, they get him up as quickly as they can. If it's going okay with Samsonov and Jones, maybe they leave him down as long as they can.
Well, they got that break coming up. He can start ramping it up if he's skating and stuff, where he can be ready to rock when they come back.
He's still on his own pad. He's not even skating with the team.
Yeah.
Right? Like no, you're right, though. Like they've got a week off coming up. He's not going to play today. Or tomorrow. He's not going to play Saturday. So that's 2 more weeks before they would need him. But I don't get the impression like he's knocking on the door for a return.
Yeah, but how many practices does he need? I mean, that's not an easy injury to come back from.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're picking between, I don't know.
And he's a goalie. He doesn't. It's not like he needs to work with his line mates or something like that.
Let me ask you this. I'll ask you both. I'll ask Jeff first. You have to win a game tomorrow. You have to win the game.
Yes.
Which of those 2 guys would you start?
Martin Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of where I'm at.
Same, yeah. That's why I'm denying it too, because I just don't have faith that Samsonov is going to get right back on it. And I think Jones deserves the benefit of the doubt and benefit of some rest here, some time off. I know his stats have dropped. The eye test, I thought in Vancouver he looked really tired.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't tracking the puck well. He was lost. He was swimming a bit in his crease. But he's in his 30s, and he's playing every single game. They're in the dog days. They played every other day for like a month.
With travel.
With travel. Out west, back, now out west again. Yeah. He went through California, started back-to-back games, came home, started right away. Now they're out in Western Canada. He's playing. You got to give him some rest. He deserves that. And I think he deserves to have the benefit of the doubt that Jones can reset and be a good goalie. Not a great goalie, not Vezina caliber stuff, but a good goalie and a tandem goalie. And I think the hope is Wall returns and reinserts himself as the number 1. And then you're talking about Martin Jones starting like 30% of the games as opposed to...
What happens to Samsonov?
Well, I think they waive him. Now, if he's playing well, will someone claim him? That is a legit question this time.
Carolina, wouldn't Carolina just claim him if they could?
I mean, last time they could have, but who would because he was playing so poorly.
Yeah.
Now, if he starts putting it together, then you got a conundrum. All right, confirm or deny. Edmonton, the Edmonton Oilers should be the clear-cut Stanley Cup favorite today. Clear-cut, Oilers are the Cup favorite, in your opinion, with your sports book.
No, I do not think so. I don't care about their streak. I'm not putting them ahead of Colorado or Vegas or Florida. I as crazy as this streak seems, just seen it too many times where something happens. It's an incredible streak, and I think if they keep cooking, and they can depend on Skinner, who come playoff time will be a major focal point for the Edmonton Oilers. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't put them ahead of some of those other teams. And Vegas is even terrible right now.
They got so many injuries.
I know,
and
they're going to have the perfect storm. They're going to get all those guys back before the playoffs, and it's going to be a gong show again for everyone else.
I will also deny. I'm just looking at points percentage. So these are the teams ahead of them. Boston, better, right? Like I would take their chances as being higher, slightly, maybe.
Jonas, what's Edmonton's sked like coming down the stretch? Like, do they have they got a heater sked, or what are we looking at for them?
I'd have to look that up, but I can get back to you. It's just like there's too many teams, like you mentioned some of them that I look at and I think they have a better chance, especially with the goaltending. Like I don't know what the
That's the thing. Like Skinner's been phenomenal lately.
For
like
sure.
He's been unbelievable.
But I can't forget the start.
No, I agree. And that's they're plus 950 on FanDuel. Only Colorado is better odds to win the Cup.
Wow.
So FanDuel's got Edmonton at 2. Like they're looking at them as 2.
Wow.
I'm going to deny it, but it's because I think they're on par with teams. I don't necessarily think they're chasing teams, but I can't say they're definitively the best. They're not. I'm not sure it's possible to be definitively the best in a 32-team, parity-driven league with a hard salary cap. Even Boston last year had separated themselves clearly. The Bruins deserve to be the number 1 seed. They're lost in the first round. Like, that's the nature of the beast in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I look at Edmonton, and Skinner's what scares me because I don't know what he's going to be like in the playoffs. I also don't know what Chris Knobloch's going to be in the playoffs up against Bruce Cassidy or Todd McClellan or, whoever else it's going to be, Jared Bednar. Like, I don't know what the coach is going to look like under the gun. I don't know what that goaltending situation is going to look like under the gun. They've defended very well, but Winnipeg's been doing that all year. They have game breakers, but so does Colorado.
I'll tell you that Knobloch's getting some street cred from kind of grizzled people that would say, I don't know if that guy knows what the hell he's doing. He's getting some street cred where some of the old dudes I used to play with and against, whether it be pro scouting and other positions, he's getting some compliments from some areas that I wouldn't expect. So he's getting some street cred. He's doing a good job. Yeah, exactly.
I hear you. I'm just stating a fact that he's never coached a Stanley Cup playoff game.
Has anyone who's come in midseason won the Jack Adams?
I don't know. I don't.
Could he win?
Yes, he should be in contention because he came in like game 13 or 14.
Okay.
Like it's one thing. Like Patrick Waugh can't. I don't think you missed half the season. But if you coach 70 games, 68 games.
Yes, he can certainly. You look at Torts. You look at Knobloch.
Talkett's probably the favorite.
There's your 3 coaches right there for Coach of the Year. Talkett, Knobloch, and Torts. Bank.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think Rick Bowness will probably get some love.
Yes, my apologies to Sarah Orlesky. Rick Bowness.
Yes, Rick Bowness. All right, moving on here. Confirm or deny? Ryan Reeves will never play another game for the Maple Leafs.
That is a tough
play
one.
it.
I can neither confirm or deny that.
With you two tonight.
You know what it is? It's good questions.
It's a great question. Fergie.
So when they waived Samsonov, like I wrote something really quick, and my first reaction is like his career with the Leafs might be done. And then like 2 hours later, I was like, well, no, that's probably not true because like this.
I'm going to deny it. I says he plays again. Where it goes after that, I have no idea. But does he play again? Yes.
Yeah, that's like if they run into injuries tomorrow night.
The only thing that's
play
different
Saturday.
here is it could just end. Like he could just be waived, and that could be the end.
Yeah, I mean, if he's healthy,
which he says he is, then. Basically, he's been a healthy scratch for weeks. Yes.
And if you go that long as a healthy scratch, and it was that bad before you got injured, like because they brought him in for the presence, they brought him in, for toughness and physicality, but also his personality and what he can bring to the room and on the road. And I can't imagine he feels like he can bring any of that if he's not in the lineup.
The only thing is, like you remember in past seasons, like this kind of happened with Simmons and Clifford and like even Spezza a little bit, and they still got in games late in the year. The difference is those teams were way ahead.
Yeah, that's
This
the thing.
team
They
might
can't
not
afford
have
to.
it.
That's why I'm going to deny it, because I'm not sure they look at him and think we can have you in the lineup right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even, we're going to throw you a bone because you're a vet. And we respect you and we brought you in for a reason, and you deserve the chance to reset and find yourself. They're playing for their lives almost every single night.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to deny it. I could see it both ways. I'm Fergie now, but I will deny it. Confirm and deny. The Raptors are at least 3 years away from being competitive.
Oh,
What's competitive?
Time, yeah.
Like a top 6 team in the East where you're not in the play-in.
Okay.
Like you're a good team and you're making the playoffs and you're winning 47, 48 games.
I'm going to 100% confirm that. I actually think it might be longer.
Can't take that. I hear you, and I think your assessment is probably accurate.
Dude, Masai said it himself. He's like, sometimes when you do this in this league, it's 5 to 6 years. Does the market have patience for that? Do I? I don't know, but we're going to give it a go.
Yeah.
Those are his words.
Yeah, they've taken it down to the wood here. Like it's not that they don't have talent, but they're very young. Very young. You know, you're waiting for Scotty to get going, and Scotty's had a really good year, but you'll notice his numbers without Anunoby, they've tailed a little bit. Like OG's not there to protect him as much. He's got to put more work in defensively. Now Siakam's not there. Like, you look at their lineup last night, you're like, that's a lineup that's going to take a long time. I'm going to confirm it too. They're going to have some cap space. You know, they've got some picks now to move, and in the NBA, the nature of the NBA, you could be a player or two away from finding another 8 or 10 wins. Like, you could be that. But they don't have a history of getting free agents to sign here, especially high-end, like high-caliber free agents. And why would they come if the expectation is they're only going to win like 25 games? I think we might have to really brace for a tough storm here after what's been an incredible decade for this team.
Put up the rain shutters.
So you both deny? I'm confirming.
No, I'm confirming it that they're at least 3 years away.
So I'm denying. I think sooner.
You think so?
And here's my thinking.
Okay.
I think Scotty will continue to ascend.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he makes a big leap next year. Like, I think of Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana this year. Leap. And suddenly they're in the mix. They're interesting.
Okay.
And I think quickly could be I don't know how good he can be, but I think he's got a leap. And if suddenly those two guys are not superstars, but maybe Scotty's a superstar and quickly's a star. I don't know. You got something they have to draft well. They haven't drafted as well as they had in previous years.
Listen, I think that's very optimistic and positive. I hope you're right. I think it's a reality we haven't dealt with in this city in a long time. They've been so consistent. Over the last decade, they've got to be one of the 5 winningest franchises in the NBA. Close to it, 5 or 7.
I guess you'd have to go back to Chris Bosh, the end of Chris Bosh.
Yeah. You go back to the 2000s, after Vince left, it was tough for a decade.
The Bargnani years.
Well, they had the one run when Colangelo first came and Sammy won the Coach of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
And remember they had TJ Ford and Jose Calderon. They brought in Garbajosa and Anthony Parker. Everything just connected.
Yeah, those were good times.
Yeah. Well,
But DeMar and Kyle and those guys, they won a lot of regular season games.
They did.
They did a lot of winning without doing squat in the playoffs. They get crushed by Cleveland all the time.
Right, but they'd win. You're right. They'd win the division 47, 48 games.
Remember Garbajosa? He always looked like he just...
Remember how gruesome his injury that ended his NBA career?
Yes.
That's one of the most disgusting...
Yeah.
Oh, I was watching that live. Chase, and he wasn't going... It doesn't matter, but he wasn't going to make it. He was tracking down. He was trying to make a defensive play, and he put in effort, and he went up to try to block the shot. He didn't block the shot. I think to add insult to injury, he might have got called on a foul on the play and just snapped his leg in half. Anyway. Moving on. Final one, confirm or deny. If you're building a team today and have an option between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, you should take Josh Allen.
Deny. Joe Burrow.
You're a Joe Burrow guy.
I'm all Joe Burrow. I think he is a winner.
Injured a lot, Jonas. Injured a lot.
Injured this year. What other years?
He's had injuries every year of his career.
Yeah, but
he blew his knee out as a rookie. No, he
Okay.
didn't. As a rookie, he blew his literally his ACL, MCL, PCL, everything. His knee was a mess.
When he's been healthy, right behind Mahomes.
Okay. Listen, I love Joe Burrow. I'm not here to downplay that. And I think a lot of people in Cincinnati are like, I hear everyone say Mahomes and Allen. That's Peyton and Brady.
I think they would have made the Super Bowl this year.
I need the question rephrased. Is it how long the rest of the career?
Yeah, if you're building a team today, starting from scratch, and you have the option of Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, confirm or deny, you should take Josh Allen.
I'm denying that. I'm taking Burrow. I don't know. I'm just scared of a jinx or something funky going on. I'm taking Joe Burrow, who a couple years ago was my guy after Goff.
Of course. Yeah.
And I love everything. He's got swagger, man. He's
a winner. Listen,
he's a winner, dude.
He's Mahomes' kryptonite too. He's
going to be playing next year with some Forrest Gump braces on his legs, and who knows how that's going to plan out.
Yeah. Like, my concern is with Allen that could be coming because he's such a physical quarterback.
Yeah, but he's so big.
I know, but so was Cam Newton, and Cam took so many hits. So was Ben Roethlisberger. Like, at some point, you take so many hits, it really wears on you. But I'm going to confirm this because I love Joe Burrow, but I just worry the guy's hurt all the time. It just feels like he's got a real injury reputation and injury history. And this year was one of them. His rookie year was one of them. He had a appendectomy to start the year last year, I believe. Super Bowl 2 years ago, he's beaten Mahomes. We saw what he did in college. I love Joe Burrow. I think he'll be great next year. If he's healthy, he's a stud. But Josh Allen is healthy. The best ability is availability. I will confirm that. There you
links
go.
Of chains, links.
Chain links.
Availability is the best ability.
He's not the best color man in the league for nothing, folks.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you believe in jinxes, by the way? Like, do you think that stuff's real? Like, do you think an organization, like a team, could just be jinxed? Like, are the Browns just jinxed? The Bills jinxed? The team here jinxed?
You know what? I kind of believe it, but then I just think of how many different people they've had coaching and in management, and how could they have so many different stupid people in the same place doing the same thing? It's insane. Dude, if you look at what the Lions had there, the Lions running that organization for that many years, it's impossible to get that many stupid people doing stupid things for that long.
Yes. You could have just had like a potato GM and just had him make or her or them or whoever make the decision.
I don't know. I understand there is a coin toss in decision making and management in pro sports, but to get it wrong for that many years, it's hard to do. Like, it's really hard, and you got to be really stupid not to figure something out.
Yeah, a lot of it is the jinx is that the owner is the owner. Like, the jinx is that you got a horrible owner.
Yeah,
like that was a big problem with Detroit. Like, the Lions, the Ford family, they were a disaster.
Dave Naylor says it best. You get an owner with 6 beers in him that wants to go in a video room, you're going to have lots of problems.
Big trouble, man.
Big trouble.
Talk to them down in Dallas. Old Jerry Jones.
Yeah, there's a prime example. 6 Ryan Cokes, and he wants to go in the video room.
Yep.
It's scary stuff.
Get your damn act together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you get your damn act together. That's your jinx. Anyway, it does kind of soften the blow. Like, if your team keeps losing, you just say, well, we're jinxed. Like, that's
Jets.
why.
The Jets kind of feel jinxed.
Jets feel jinxed.
Aaron Rodgers gets hurt like 4 snaps into the game. Come on.
The Browns, the Leafs. Like, the Leafs, how do you explain 57 years?
Yeah.
57 years.
Just making the final is kind of nuts. Not kind of. It's nuts.
It just is crazy. 57 years. They haven't made it to the Cup final. Exactly. Forget winning it. Cup final. Anyway, moving on. Maybe this is the year.
Maybe it's
when we least expect it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why you got to go for it.
Everything's gonna break their way. All right, we'll come back with our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. SGP, all winners here. Ottawa and Montreal. I like Ottawa tonight. The Mums, they're on the trip. Ottawa's been actually playing better the last couple of games. I'm on Ottawa tonight. Go ahead.
Pinto, he's going to be a first-line centerman, Bergeron style. Put Stützle on the wing, and away you go. Go ahead with your SGP.
Okay. Ottawa tonight. The Rangers are in San Jose. Got to have it. Got to have it. And I got Edmonton money line at home against Columbus. So it's not paying a ton, but I like Edmonton. They're a huge
14
favorite.
in a row?
Against Columbus. Skinner's playing tonight, too, I believe. which is a little bit surprising. I thought
They're
Pickard
going to
would go
win that
tonight.
game 7-0. You bring me back to Vlasic in San Jose. So does he just is he on vacation or?
It's a good question. I don't know exactly the situation, but he's not playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
well, they
crazy,
give him
man.
a long-term deal, like 4.5. Or
No, it's more than that.
6,
I think
7,
it's 7.
man.
You're kidding me.
Might be
It's
7.
really
and
rough.
Close
Wow.
to 8, dude.
Well, he was on Team
He was
Canada.
awesome.
Was that in 14? He was on the Canadian team.
Yeah.
Like he was. Yeah, he was a
Among
really
the
good player.
best defensive defensemen there.
Absolutely. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. FanDuel's goal in the first 10 minutes is the most electric bet in hockey and can be included in any same-game parlay on any NHL game. Please play responsibly. 19 plus and physically located in Ontario. Friend Michael Farber sending us a note saying that Ken Hitchcock, when he won, that must have been in St. Louis, that he came in during the year, and our buddy Bruce Boudreau, when he won his Jack Adams, he had taken over. That was in Washington, I guess, in 07-08. They came on during the season, went on to win the Jack Adams, because we were wondering, can Chris Knobloch win it in Edmonton? I don't see why not.
I guess so.
If they end up winning the division, they catch Vancouver or something crazy like that,
Yeah.
pretty incredible. They win tonight. That's 14 in a row. Yeah. It's amazing. All right, Jonas. Good stuff, buddy.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you for doing
You've
it.
ruined lip syncing in anthems for me.
All I do is bring facts, right? I'm not an emotional host. I speak facts.
Chains and links.
That's right.
That's
Jonas
what we
Siegel
are.
of The Athletic. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out today. Everyone for tuning in. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate it. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at 10:50 and on TSN 2.
4 p.m.
You guys will chat then.